Good evening, guys, and welcome to the stream. Tonight we are looking at finishing off our graphs, and I have implemented time dilation so that we can basically speed up the process for testing. Now, if you don't know what time dilation is, it's basically speeding up time or slowing down time. Okay, now it is the way I have implemented it is when I hit the enter, we speed up by 10 times, and when we hit enter again, we slow it down back to normal speed. Now, under normal circumstances, you should not really go over 3 or 4 times speed, because Epic say that it can start making your physics and other stuff a bit inconsistent. Okay, but we're going to use it for now just to speed through basically doing these graphs so that we can test hours and such. And from that, we, as you can see, we are speeding up. This is a minute every time it does this in game time. Okay? So when we look at this, you can see that there's a new minute being added every 6 seconds. Right? So we can basically get to a point where we can test the code that in this case is only going to be tested after an hour, right? So obviously it isn't great to sit there for an hour waiting on something to finish only to find out that something's completely wrong. Now, this isn't the 100% most efficient way to do it, but it's certainly the easiest way to implement it at this point for myself. And so, as you can see here, the time is going flying by. If we actually move the graph, you can see stuff is flying. Okay? So, also quite neat to watch when it's doing that stuff. And once we get up near the number we want, which is basically 59, then we can basically slow it down again. And I'm quite happy tonight. I have got my orange juice again, so everything's good. We have got our nice cool orange juice to keep me a bit more cool and refreshed. So we're at 50. We're at 51. 52. And all we need to do now when it hits about 58 is hit the enter key, and that will slow everything down to normal speed. And I shall show you the problem that we have. And here we go. So, this is us now coming in to here, and if we step into, I think I already know what the issue is here. but we shall resume. And we are in here again. We step into, and now this is 1, and that is actually incorrect. Okay, that number should not be coming from there, it should actually be coming from here. Okay, now this is where you will see the time lapse basically come into play, because we're going to have to create a new game. We are going to have to save it as a new game, and we are going to have to create a new thing there, and we're not going to do the speed thing just yet, where we speed it up to a crazy speed, but we are going to do it soon. So, again, it's a quiet night on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts on the Champions League matches, if you watch that type of thing, or what's going on in NFL, or wherever you are, the type of sports you watch. And now we shall speed up. And there we go. It is now going, as you can see, like an absolute rocket. And you can see here that the data is speeding along. Now each section represents 10 seconds, so you can see how fast it's going. It's basically 1 second is done in, well, 10 seconds are done in 1 second, right? So this is minute data, so this is taking 6 seconds to do it. Okay. Now, once we have once we have this working, which I'm pretty sure that this is now going to work, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build some nice buildings that's going to make us some products. So we're going to make ourselves some widgets, okay? And then we'll be able to check the graph again. And we'll speed it up to 10 times speed, and we'll see what we get. Okay. So in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow it down there. Then I'm going to close it. And then we are going to do another probe, and we don't want this to be, we want this to be bauxite, okay? That's the thing here. So what we can actually do in the meantime is build our refinery, then build our smelter, then we can build our fabricator as before, and then we can build our storage container as we normally do here. Okay, then we can spin these around to give us the right thing here. Okay. And this was bauxite, wasn't it? Yes, it was. So that's okay. Right, so here we select iron. Here we select widgets. Excuse me. So we'll join these up and we'll get ready to speed along again in a minute. So it won't be long. And we should see some action on the graphs. We should see some insane action on the graphs, to be honest. So I'm quite looking forward to this myself. This is the first time I've done this with time dilation. That I've made like loads and loads of stuff. So the first thing we need to do is speed everything up as far as the workers go. Bring our graph up. Okay, we've only got one so far. We can hit that button and everything's going to start up. Hit G and you can see now we've got graphs all over the place. So it's going mental. Then we can do this. And I shall show you the issue in a minute as well, once we actually get to the correct point. I think what we'll do is we'll slow this down again, right? And what we shall do is we shall create another mine here and another mine oh, no worries, Brandon. I've got there's a lot of my streams out there that you can have a look at of me doing various things with blueprints in Unreal Engine. And thanks for popping by, basically. Alright, I don't know what this is. We're going to have to find out what this mine is. But yeah, you can have a lot of fun with Unreal Engine. Just don't think for a second that it's going to write the game for you, which is a mistake a lot of people make. So this is bauxite, right? So what we want to do here is join on a storage container. And then we can spin that around when we want to. We're hoping for, well, right, so all we need to do is join these up now. And we need to spin this round first. We could have joined up the other way, but hey ho. We shall just do it the good old-fashioned way. And there we go. And now we want to find out, well, that's another bauxite. So what we want to do now is speed up again with workers. Then hit our time dilation button there. And then we hit the graphs. And we should start getting some results. So Brandon, how new are you to Unreal Engine? Have you been working on it a week or month or 6 months or whatever? And the other thing is that I have a Discord, so if you check the description, I help people out in the Discord as well as on here. If you ask a question, I'll try and help you out. So, about a week. Okay, so you're absolutely brand new. So at this point, I would say this stream is probably, it's just going to show you what's possible, okay? From one guy that kind of knows what he's doing a bit. Okay, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is probably going to be beyond you at this stage, especially in Unreal Engine. I don't know how much programming experience you have, which is another big factor to what you can actually do in Unreal Engine. Obviously, the more programming knowledge you have, the more you can do. So, if we check on our controller and our stats component, then we should be able to see well, there's something going wild here. Oh no, actually it isn't. Right, so okay. Right, I'll tell you what, Brandon, let's slow the game down. So let's slow it down again, and I'll explain to you what's going on. Okay? Have you played Factorio or Satisfactory or Surviving Mars? That is the first question to ask. Now, as you see, this is mining copper ore, okay? So this is the copper ore getting basically transported into a storage container, right? So you can take this as a mine in Satisfactory or Factorio, okay? Same thing, basically. Right, now, this is a refinery, which is a little more specific than what you would do in Satisfactory, because it only has a limited number of things it can do. Okay? I.e., it can only make iron ore at the moment, right? Now, I can add recipes and all sorts of stuff when I want to. So this is a smelter. A smelter can make all of these at the moment. Again, I can add more if I want. These are the inputs and the outputs. The speed of the smelter, etc., whether it's damaged or not, the overall efficiency, etc., etc. This is a fabricator. It can make higher value things. So at the moment it can make copper wire, widgets, things. It can make a smelter, and it can make research. Okay, it's got outputs and inputs again, but you'll notice that this can take 2 inputs, and I can add as many as I want. Then this is going to another storage container. Okay, now just like in Factorio and Satisfactory, I have splitters and combiners, right? So you can make a combiner. I'm not using any of these in this and these green lines show line traces to where I can actually put it or not. So that is a combiner, that is a splitter, okay, so this one splits. So if you look at it from this direction, comes in here, goes out, out, out. Okay? Now, there's also a research tree, so you can research stuff. This isn't complete, but it's fully functional. You can drag that about and click on stuff, so I can start research on probes, blah, 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 and make everything, you know, linked to a research tree. The reason for the rocket is when the rocket is on screen, you'll be able to trade with the rocket. So like you can buy stuff like workers, you can sell stuff like your widgets and whatever you're making for money to basically buy workers. Okay? You can do all that stuff. So if I do a 5, this gives you the access to buy and sell on the rocket. Right, so you can press buy or sell, etc, etc. So that all works. Okay, the next thing is you can craft. Okay, just like in, can you do it in Satisfactory? Yeah, you can, but you do it at a crafting table, don't you? Okay, it's more like, in this case it's more like factorial crafting. So I can go to my crafting and I can say, right, I want to make 5 widgets. Then I want to make 5 wire, and I want to make a smelter. Okay, and they'll go into the crafting list, and they'll update and be crafted for me, and then go into my inventory. Okay, that all works. So at the moment, oh yeah, and we've got rocket launcher. So we're going to end up with weapons, defensive weapons, offensive weapons. So that is the rocket launcher. And this is actually the gun. This is a gun. Except I haven't got a button that is actually attached to it at the moment so that you can see it. But basically this iris opens and a gun flips up and then fires lasers. Okay, that's the basis for that. So, basically, all my systems are working. Okay, you can see that this is iron sheet coming out of here. And because of the lighting, it's not great. And I keep meaning to change the lighting, but you can see the widgets. There's a widget going along. So there's that. So if I now hit my let's go fast button and bring up the graphs. So for the past week we've been working on graphs. We're using a plugin called Kantan Graphs and basically getting all of the information and working out how to put it into buckets so that we can get the graphs to work. So we've got like a 10-second graph which gives you the information from the last 2 minutes. We can hit the minute graph which gives us the last 30 minutes. And we are just basically working on getting the hour graph working, which is going to give us information from probably the last 12 hours. But at the moment, we are testing this, and this is looking good. This is data point hours, which is exactly what I want. But I don't know if it's going to be graphed yet or not, but we're soon going to find out. And then now, oh, wait a minute. No, we'll close that. And in fact, what we'll do is we shall close this down. And we're just looking at this. This is the interesting part. Yep, that's what we wanted. And now we've got bauxite. Okay, so this is gradually going to go up, and this is a running total for this particular hour, which is hour 0. And we've now got our other products coming in the same way. So we have copper ore, we have iron sheet, we have bauxite, we have iron ore, and we should have widgets. Yep, there we go. So if I've done everything correct, we ain't going to get anything yet on the hour graph. But we are close. Okay, the thing that's going to have to happen here is this minutes is going to have to go up to, or the last value in it is going to have to be up to around minute 120. And as you can see, it's only at 189. Okay, so what do you think of that, Brandon? If indeed you're still there. Right, so we're at 97, and we're going to very soon see what is going to happen here. Basically what we should see is numbers, these arrays getting bigger. Instead of it being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or up to 4, this should now go up and create brand new arrays, or sorry, elements for hour 1, because we're still on hour 0 as far as the old data goes. And once this gets up another 13 minutes, we're going to be on hour 2, and we should see that change. Okay, and as I said, if I wasn't using time dilation, then this would literally take an hour to do it, to just test this little one part. And I know there's other ways I can do it, but it was getting confusing of what should change and what shouldn't change at any particular time. But we should be just about there. No, we're not too far away. We're about 30 seconds away. And then I'm hoping that our graph will actually start showing some stuff. And as you can see, our data points has gone up to 6 and now to 8. And you can now see that we have running totals for our data point hours. And let's hit the button. Let's see what it shows us. It's got something, and it has changed those values, but we're not getting to see anything. It knows we've done 7,000. It's just not showing us those values. Now, I actually think I know what the problem is. Okay, and it's going to be in return our data. And this should not be there. Okay, that is what's basically screwing us up. Right, I'm going to go for that. Those errors are probably to do with the fact that I've got a dilation at a ridiculously high number. We multiply it by that is correct. And this is actually going to be slightly different, but we're going to have to calculate this number later. I can test it as it is, but it's going to be a bit weird to start off with. So what we will actually do, right, having thought about it, we do this. And that's all good. Right. Now we need the value here. Right. If that is less than that, okay. If that means that is less than 7, then basically we branch off of this. And we allow it. Okay. And we go new game again. Okay, we build, we probe for minerals. And then we make our storage container. Then we can spin it round once we get a minute. I'm trying to see the change between minutes and hours. Right, and then graph it by the hour. Okay? Let me explain it in a minute when I get this set up and start it, and I'll explain to you what happens. Or at least I'll try to explain it. Okay, so we can now hit the speed button and then hit the graph button. Okay, so this graph shows seconds, okay? Data the data from seconds, and it only shows up to the 2-minute mark, right? So what happens is, at the 2-minute mark, that data gets turned into a minute bucket, okay? And then everything within that minute gets added together, so you're getting a running total for that minute, right? So if you produce 5 units, anywhere within the first minute, it gets added to that bucket. Then after an hour, it gets added to the hour bucket and removed from the minute bucket. And then that becomes the rolling counter. And each graph takes the data from the different time period, right? So this one takes it from the seconds, this one takes it from the minutes, and this one takes it from the hours. Now, obviously, I haven't actually done any hours yet because we haven't got to the hour point. Okay? And that's why I need the time dilation to go so fast to take me to the point where I've actually got hours. Okay? So the graphs are showing your production of all your different things that you're making. So in this case, I'm only making copper ore, right? But in the other graph where you've seen all the lines, it was all the different products that were currently being created. Okay? So these two graphs are working. This graph is the one I'm working on. And I think the data is now correct, right? We looked at the data and it was creating the correct buckets, and then it was placing stuff into the correct buckets. Right, so for example, for the first hour, everything that's recorded in the first hour gets added cumulatively to the 0 hour bucket for that product, okay? And that's how it works. And I separated out the different time periods so that it can sort through them faster. So like the second one only needs to sort through the seconds. The minute one only needs to sort through the minutes. The hour one only needs to sort through the hours. Okay? Originally, I actually had it working with every data point for every hour, minute, second, and product in one big array, which actually functioned fine, but I have got my doubts whether it's going to actually function into the future when there's a lot more products. So that's why I split it up, and I'm not 100% sure this is going to work, right? I might need to actually write this to disk and read it back if that's faster. But it was basically to get a system in place where I can actually draw graphs, which at this point is kind of working, as you can see. At this point, I'm not really trying to see if anything's working on the graph. Right, what I had to see was if this data point hours was actually being filled properly. Now that I know it is being filled properly, now I can look at the graph that corresponds to data point hours. And at this point it's blank, right? It should be blank because we haven't got any hour data yet. But when we've seen it go up to 7,000, we should have seen points, but there were none. But I think I know why, right? And I think I fixed it. But we have to check again. Right, now normally I would do this offline because obviously it takes a little time for it to actually accumulate the data. But I was going to do it for the first little while to show you the effects, the people effects of time dilation. Okay, obviously making it go very, 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 very fast. Right? So we're at 57 and we should see data points start to appear right on cue. There we go, copper ore. This is the only one that's going to be created, by the way, because we're not creating any other products. But we did check on the last test run and it was working absolutely how we wanted it to. So basically this number is just going to keep going up until it hits another hour, the start of another hour, at which point it's going to create another data point called time 1, and that's going to be the first hour. So there'll be hour 0 and then hour 1, right? And then that's going to start counting up basically the same way as the minute one does it, right? So if we click on it like this, it should start doing exactly that, but a little bit slower, right? But it's going to gradually just build up as the bucket fills up with the cumulative amount, okay? So that's exactly what I hope to see happening. And we know from this number here how much longer we have to wait till it should basically start happening. Okay? So you can see here that this bucket is already on 1,000. So there's been 1,000 of those products being created within that hour so far that it has counted. Okay, now the number should be 3,000. Well, I think it should be 7,000. No, it should be 3,600. Right, so this number should be, it won't be 3,600, but it's going to be up there because obviously it didn't produce for the first X amount of time, right? Because I hadn't made the mine, I hadn't made the storage container, and I hadn't started it up, right? But we're now on 86. Not got too long to go, probably about 30 seconds or so. So this is gradually making its way up, and we should see it, we're up to 1800 practically now. $18.56, 1916. And again, we're gradually going up. But as I said, Brandon, if you're still there, check out the description of the video and you'll see the Discord link. You're welcome to join. There's a lot of people in there like yourself just learning, so to be honest, I'm learning as well. There's some things that I don't know about, but there's a lot of stuff I do, as you can tell by how much I have working, etc. Oh yeah, but the old cliche, every journey starts with the first step. And we are getting close to the point where we should be getting a second data point, which is going to be cool. Well, it's going to be cool if it actually works. It's going to be rather frustrating if it doesn't. But even if it doesn't, I'm going to stop that and we're going to take a look at removing the buildings and basically automatically removing any conveyor belts that are attached and making sure that actually works. Well, don't get me started on tutorials because I kind of agree with them, but I don't. A lot of the tutorials show you a specific way of doing stuff that can be exactly wrong and not how you want to do it. Or you'll put something in your game that comes from a tutorial, except the problem is that it doesn't really teach you anything. So you couldn't recreate it, and if you have a problem, you can't fix it. And if that's the case, then the tutorial was obviously way over your head. And that can be a big problem as well. But we have now got our second data point, right? So we've got hour 0 and hour 1, which is exactly what we want. So now, if I hit this button, I'm hoping, or I was hoping anyway, that that would actually show something. But apparently not. But what I do want to see here is this. And it's hour 2. So that's 2, so it's less than 7. Yeah, that's a big it's a big problem. So we can step over that, and we're looking at this data, and it's time 0, and that looks good. Right? And then we're going to add this breakpoint here. We're going to resume that, right? And this should be these, yeah, that's right. And we're reversing that. Then we're going to go step, 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 step. I want to see what this struct is. Right, that's correct, 360. But the problem is, it's at -2. Okay, so that actually shouldn't be a huge problem. So step over, and we should have two values, and that's right. Okay. And the problem here is we should not right, hang on a second. And this is complete and utter nonsense in this context. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to look at the structure, look at the time, and actually plug the time in there. Okay. And there we go. And right now we're going to next take a look at removing buildings. I'm going to test this. I'm not going to bore the life out of everybody by testing this again and having to wait for 6 minutes or something just to get to here. Although what I could do is I could start it, because I'm going to go and grab a cigarette, and I don't know what I did there. Apparently we're doing it in standalone mode. Okay, whatever. Right, what I'm going to do is we're going to quickly create this, and I'm going to start it running with time dilation on, and I'm going to grab a cigarette, and hopefully by the time I'm back, well, it's not going to take me 6 minutes to have a cigarette, but it's at least going to do some of the donkey work for me, or take some of the time out. So we've only got a minute or so to wait, but I'm just going to keep it going. I really want to get this graph thing done because we've been working on it for a while. There's been a lot of complicated stuff to do, learn about the actual plugin, get all the calculations done properly, work it all out, and it's been about a week. But these things take time, you know. These things take time. A lot of people don't realise that these type of things just don't build themselves. Right, so we'll start that off and we'll leave it running. So don't go anywhere. I shall be back in 2 minutes. Check out the description for hit the subscribe button. Check out Discord, Patreon, and my previous game on Steam as well. I'll be back in a second. Okay guys, we are back and let's get on with this. No worries Brandon, if you've already gone then I guess you can't hear me, and if you're not then enjoy your walk with the dog. I'll be doing that shortly when I finish the stream. So let's see where we are, I suppose, as far as our count goes. Oh, it's at 46. So that's not too bad. So as soon as we've done this one test, we'll stop with the graphs for the moment. I've pretty much got them as far as I need to, and I can finish them off now offline or off stream and take it from there. And probably the next time I show you guys is going to be when it's actually done. But in the meantime, I'm hoping against hope here that we get a result of some description. It's just about to go. Going to get our first data point anytime shortly, in about 18 seconds or 12 seconds now, and we'll see how this goes. And we have our first data point for the hours, and it is now counting up. And if we look at the hour graph, we can see it doing its thing. And wow, I'm going to say wow at that. And then I'm probably not going to say wow at that. I'm probably just going to disable that. And in here we should have one value. And what I want to see is what this is. So we're going to I don't know why it stopped there. Step over. We have to step over once more. And we have 0, 3, 5, 7. And yeah. And disable that. And run. Now I'm not expecting to see anything there at the moment because it's at 0, but as soon as it goes to 2 different points, then we should see something. Now the interesting point though is you'll see this scale change continuously as the numbers go up. Right, so once this hits about 2,800, we actually might start seeing something here. Now that's not going to be for a minute or two, but we can keep talking. And yeah. So we're waiting on this to go up. Now this should have a point somewhere but I'm pretty sure I don't show the points. I only show the lines, but we just need to be patient. And hopefully this will work for us. As you can see, it's reading the data properly because the scale is gradually going up. And it's at 1428, so it's doing like a certain amount plus a percentage. So it's up to 1800 now. And we're not too far away from getting our second data point. Okay. And at 90, this is at 18, it's 19 odd, so it's up at 2.2. So it's gradually scaling up our quantities so that it will fit on the graph. None of this is done by the graph, by the way. I have to calculate out which numbers we need for this scale and this scale, and then match the data accordingly. I'll need to have a look actually and check what sort of graphing or fancy graphs are available as plugins. And take it from there. Okay. Right, so we're not too far away now from getting our second bit of data. We're nearly there, 109, I think that is. Not too many to go. And hopefully we should start seeing data on this graph. I'm going to be gutted if I don't. I'm not going to be surprised if I don't, but I'm going to be gutted. Alright. It's close. We're about 30 seconds away. And then we should start getting some data. Come on, you know you want to. Close indeed. We're on 118 and we have our second bit of data. Oh, look at this. Look at this. It's just our scale that's wrong. It's literally just our scale that's wrong. This should be gradually going up. Which it will, right? Because it's currently there, right? And it's going to jump up. see it's moved up. I'm kind of excited now. Right, but you can definitely see that's working. Right. So, our issue now is the scale. So we're going to have a quick look at that, and then, as I promised, we're going to have a look at the, what do you call it? We're going to have a look at removing conveyor belts and stuff. Right, so we have chart mode, and that's going to be 0 to -6, and that basically fixes the problem. That literally fixes the problem, and that's going to be 0 to -7. And that's going to be 0 to -365. Okay, now these hours actually, I'm going to change that to be 12. So it's actually going to be -12. And that's going to give us like a better range. And then we can come in here, and if it's less than 13, we do that. Okay, so I'm going to test that off stream. But what we want to do is we want to have a little click about on stuff and find out what is working and what is not regarding removing buildings and stuff. So in the first instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a miner and a refiner. And we're going to connect them up, and then we're going to remove the miner, right? Because obviously if you've got a production line, you want to be able to reroute a new source of product into it, right? That's kind of a sort of standard thing you would want to do it. So if it's a kind of standard thing you want to do, then we need to allow it. Okay, so we go to remove and we click on that, and that works. Now, colour me surprised. Well, actually no, don't colour me surprised at that. Now what we'll do is we'll do the smelter. And we shall do the exact same thing, and we shall see what happens with the refiner. Now the refiner is going to have to do two here. It's going to have to do any inputs and any outputs, right? So the thing we've got to do here is we're going to have to rejoin it up with a miner, right? So we'll put our miner back, and I'm pretty sure I had really just done this with the miner, but we can take the example of the miner and apply it to all our other buildings. Okay, Now, we can obviously add effects and stuff to this, but basically we just want the functionality working first. You know, we can make these disintegrate and stuff like that, but fundamentally all we want to do is get it working first. And take it from there. So we have our two buildings, or two conveyor belts connected to our refiner. Now if we remove the refiner, it's removing the in, but it's not removing the out. Okay, so yeah, I was kind of expecting that. That's fine. Or kind of not fine. No, it's actually fine. I think that's because of the save game issue. Okay, because it's a save game, it's trying to put stuff back and things aren't quite right with the save game, so it's not quite working properly. But fundamentally, we need to go and check our miner, and we don't have an event as such. We have event destroy all, and I'm pretty sure this is in the refiner as well. Right, so we need to open up the refiner. Okay. So let's get our refiner. And here's the destroy all. So destroying conveyor out, then it's destroying conveyor in. Now you'll notice that it's not doing what actually our miner did. Right, our miner did this. Right. So basically we're going to have to do that. So we copy that, we go back to our refiner, you know what, it'd be a better idea just to copy the whole lot and then expand on it from there. Right, so what we're going to do is that, and then we shall check this, delete that. Now this is only the first part of delete all or destroy all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join this back up, and then I'm going to move it down to the bottom, because destroy all should be basically the last thing you do. So in theory it should be at the bottom, or that's my thinking anyway, right? Now that all works perfectly, right? And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move it back, we're going to select this, and we're going to do a sequence. Right? So once we've done this one, we do exactly the same thing, right? But with the in. Okay. And I've already got a bit of an idea here. Right, that we're going to apply at some point. And that is that what I'm going to do, rather sneakily, is basically apply a tag to each of the output items, right, with the name of the spliner. And then in that case, instead of getting every single one of these, I can just get an actor with tag. Right? I can get all actors of the class with tag, right? And then I don't need to actually do this check, because I know that that is the spline that it refers to. Okay? Now, I think we don't even need to run this. Or right, so that's destroying that actor there. So basically what we do is we remove this part. Okay. So we're really going to have to test this. And I'm not 100% sure if this is actually going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to join this up to here for now, and then that can give me any error it wants, and we'll fix it from there. Okay, and on that, guys, it's been a quiet night. Wednesday's always a quiet night, so I'm going to take the opportunity to finish off early, go and walk the dog, and be refreshed for tomorrow. I'm going to offline, I'm going to do some testing of the graphs, and we shall be back tomorrow at 2 PM Central. I hope to see you then. If you've enjoyed the stream, check out the description, hit the subscribe button, and the description has Discord and my Patreon to support the channel, and also my previous game on Steam, which also will support the channel. So everyone, have a good night, and Bye-bye for now.